Cheers, y'all.
That was a good one.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'.
Hi, Mom.
Welcome to show number 220. The title for today's show is Super Cocktails for the Super Mega Ultra Big Sporting Event Game Thingy. That's the title of today's show.
That's pretty awesome.
And the reason that we have to do it that way, well, we don't have to, but like we kind of are supposed to, because apparently, and I've known this from being in radio for many years, the NFL, which the Super Bowl is this weekend. Whoa, the Super Bowl is this weekend, right? So we're doing super cocktails for the Super Bowl. But the NFL gets really touchy about you using the phrase Super Bowl if you're not just referring to the game. If you're not paying them gazillions of dollars to be a Super Bowl sponsor.
Right, so next time, we're just going to bring in a really nice bowl.
Yeah.
And every time we talk about the Super Bowl, we'll just point to it.
That would be the Super Bowl.
Well, I suggest you can bring in an owl that is quite superb.
Right.
Nice.
So,
owl.
for example, if Budweiser is a sponsor of the Super Bowl, then Miller can run ads in the Super Bowl, but they can't say Miller Lite, the perfect beer for Super Bowl. It's really weird. And so people have taken to calling it the big game. That's their way to, which I always thought sounded really lame, you know?
It does sound lame.
Perfect snacks for the big game.
Until NFL also trademarks the big game.
Yeah, which I'm surprised they haven't, to be really honest.
And super big game popular thingy.
You can say what you want about the NFL, but they're not known for leaving money on the table. Not so much. So anyway, welcome to the show. A lot of people have Super Bowl parties or big game parties, even if they're not really into football. It's kind of a cultural thing. And of course, this year with COVID, everything's tamped down a little, but that doesn't mean that it might be just you and the members of your household, or you and maybe the very close friends in your bubble that you're okay with, you know, being around, and you're still going to be drinking. You're still going to be having parties and you know, chips and dip and whatever food. We've got some things we'll talk about with all of that. But what a perfect show to have our good friend and resident Smokin' and Toastin' cocktail expert, Chris Morris, back on the show. I did that for emphasis, by the way. That wasn't an accident.
Indeed.
Yeah. Back on the show to make super cocktails for the super mega ultra big sporting event game thingy. So welcome to it. So
We'll see how many times you say that.
yeah. Our show is brought to you by MyCigarShirts.com. Great shirts on the web for cigar lovers, T-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, all kinds of good stuff. And they are a sponsor and supporter of this program, and we appreciate them. So check them out, MyCigarShirts.com, because... Cigars, yes. So a couple of pieces of business to tend to. First of all, thanks, Chris, for being on the show. It was perfect timing.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
We always have a blast when you're here. Chris brought along and sat over here in front of me a very nice card for us, Ian, and I'd like to read it and show it to the camera now.
Okay.
If that
are
would be
we
okay.
about to have a Hallmark moment?
I believe we are.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Can I hold on? Can I get
maybe you should do a little
Can I get
Hallmark
some
music. Yeah.
backup music?
Yeah.
for
Do some music that says. Soccer mom watching, you know, romantic story.
Oh, this is escalating so quickly.
Oh yeah, we don't slow down here.
All right. I love it.
All right, go ahead. Hallmark moment music. Now I'll show this to the camera. It's a very nice, and it is a genuine Hallmark card, by the way.
Genuine.
And Chris brought this with him. You can see the blue flowers on the front, and here's what it says. It says, "Beyond the valley of sadness lies the comfort of grace." And when you open it up, it says, "Sending prayers and love at this difficult time." And it's signed, Mr. Twirlygig, gone but not forgotten. Yeah. There's a drawing there of Twirlygig, or the Twirlygig motion.
That's pretty awesome.
And then down here on the left, the bottom left side of the card, it says, "You spun us right round, baby." So, Chris, that's very touching, very moving. Mr. Twirlygig, for anyone who missed the last couple of shows, died a very, you know, sudden death. Well, it wasn't sudden.
Well,
we knew
yeah,
he was on his last
he didn't
legs.
survive the operation, and it's unfortunate, and it happens, and there's always There's always that. That's why they're, that's why surgeons are practicing.
Right. And Mr. Twirligig, just in case you don't know, was just this little round guy that spun round. We would put the drinks on him to showcase them, and it looked very much like a really cheap QVC type moment with the product being displayed.
Now, I want to point out that Mr. Twirligig has an extended family, a vast and extended family. And one of his family has stepped up to take his place.
And they've just shown up from the bus station, I understand.
And they have.
Yes.
So you have...
I have a visitor right here.
Yes, would you like
that
to
we'd now like to unveil? Yeah, maybe you should do this. You've got a better angle on the camera.
I think you should do this one.
Really? Okay.
Yes, you should do this one.
I'm now going to unveil Cousin of Twirligig.
Yes.
Cousin Twirligig, we'll have to call this one, rather than Mr. Twirligig.
Yes.
All right, so I can tell he's got his winter jacket on here. Oh, there's some sort of wire. I wonder if he's chargeable.
Cousin Twirligig, son of Shirley Gig.
Okay, this is good. We've got some sort of charging cable. That's encouraging. And here, oh, look, it's Cousin Twirligig. Here's looking at you, babe. All right, that's pretty awesome. Let's just take his jacket off there.
So Cousin Twirligig has a few upgrades
from Mr.
Twirligig because he's younger.
Yeah.
So he's not rechargeable, but he is powerable from a USB cable.
Oh, very nice.
And he does, however, also have batteries. So he'll work both ways. But he'll also, as is with a lot of younger
model
more
Twirligigs.
forward-thinking. Let me put this up here. Younger, more forward-thinking devices. He has the ability. Can we see this? Which camera is?
I don't know how well.
I don't know where
the camera is. That one will work? Okay. Good.
Okay, he has the ability to go both ways.
Oh, this is a very modern and cutting edge Twirligig. He swings both ways.
Indeed.
Yes, and he'll go fast or slow, or he'll go both ways.
Yeah, well, very nice. Very nice. I'm impressed with the Twirligig upgrade.
Twirligig 2.0.
Twirligig, Cousin Twirligig 2.0. Well, it's very good to be back in action with a member of the Twirligig family.
Yes.
So very exciting. Well, welcome to the show. It's Smokin and Toastin. It's show number 220. So we are pretty much halfway to 500.
No one stopped us yet.
No, and apparently no one will. Someone you would think would have the good,
Nobody's
the good
been up
sense.
in arms about it.
Yeah.
Or we're just lost in a miasma of apathy.
We are. We will be doing what has come to be apparently one of the more popular segments on this show. We will be doing it again today, and that will be Drinking News.
Drinking news. It's not quite time for drinking news.
And Ian, I hate to preempt you, but you're not the only one who's come up with a Drinking News theme song.
I know this.
And the other person who's come up with one is sitting here with us today. And I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but he did bring a guitar, which is leaning against the wall back there.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
And his work involved in creating a song probably far exceeds mine. However. Since I was the first, I am the OG.
You are the Drinking News theme song OG.
The OG.
Yes. So today's Drinking News, our teaser headline is Uber is just way too expensive. That's our Drinking News.
I don't know what to say about that.
Well, that's good. Hopefully that'll keep you wanting more. That's why they call it a tease.
Okay.
Also on today's show, Chris will be making super cocktails for the what did I call it? The Super Mega Ultra Big Sporting Event game thingy. He'll be teaching us how to make some things that you can make at home, hopefully, and you might enjoy them during your big game preparation. We'll also be tasting. Ian has brought the beers today. So that means we're going to start at about 23% ABV and climb upward from there, which always happens. I'm joking, but I think these are all pretty big.
Actually, FYI, I think it's 6.6% for the first beer.
Okay, well, the first one is it's a new Karbach beer.
Oh, okay, so that one you're starting there.
Yeah, I thought we'd start with about 8%. Okay, so Karbach is a local Houston brewery. They were bought by Big Beer. They were bought by
AB
and
and
Bev
yes,
a
yes.
couple
So
of
they are
years
now
ago.
macro micro or macro.
Whatever you want to call them,
Yes.
yeah. But they do still continue to put out new beers, and they are still in the craft tradition. And so we'll be trying one of theirs today. It's their new Brew Sanity Strong Ale.
Yes.
That Ian's brought. Now, have you had a chance to try it yet, or are you saving your experience for
I
the show?
have tried it, but
Okay. You're not going to tell.
I'm not going to say anything.
All right. He's also brought from Guinness the Guinness Imperial Gingerbread Spiced Stout.
Yes.
And this one comes from the new Guinness
Open Gate Brewery.
in Baltimore, Maryland.
You have my
this is-
attention.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good.
yeah.
So this should be fun. Yeah. And then last but not least, or actually, the Guinness will be the last one we try.
Oh.
So in second today, we'll try Real Ale's small batch coffee porter from the excellent brewery in Blanco, Texas. So we're looking forward. It's going to be good stuff and great cocktails. You want to give us any kind of an advanced teaser for what kind of stuff you're going to try to make? Or
Yeah, so we've got one that's kind of a good all-purpose summer, not going to get you too schwasty-faced, like easy if you're having a moderately sized gathering, as you should in these times. And then maybe one for each of the participants in the Super Mega Sports Ball game thingy.
Okay. So you're thematically charged.
Oh yeah,
today.
we do it. We do it the entire way here.
I love it. That's so great. And I noticed that you have brought one of our very favorite rums, the Plantation Rum Isle of Fiji, which is just fantastic.
I mean, it's nice. I've only tasted it once.
Yes, I know you have. And what did you think of it when you tasted
It was very good.
I taste this on a regular basis because I've now bought. I actually went to Specs not too long ago, and they were out of it, and I was like, but fortunately they got it back in right away.
Gotcha.
So anyway, we're looking forward to all of these cocktails, and looking forward to, I think, a fun show. It's always a lot of fun when Chris is here and he's sitting in the seat that Alan Denny usually sits in when Alan is here. So
Yeah, I mean, as we talked about, it's much more comfortable when you don't have to sanitize the entire thing with the first thing when you get here. So,
Or
it's
sit in
a great
Alan's
relief.
lap.
It's been a while since we're sitting in Alan's lap, exactly. So very interesting week. We'll talk about a few things that are happening. Hop Culture has named their 12 best breweries of 2020, and then we've also got some big. We mentioned Uber in the tease for the drinking news, but Uber also did a big thing in the spirits world this week. They bought Drizzly, the application that allows you to order beer and wine and spirits and have it delivered to your house. They paid $1.1 billion in cash and stock for Drizzly. That's a lot of money. Yeah, it really is. So we'll give you the details on that. We also will be talking about some different things that are appropriate for the big game, even beyond these cocktails. So I think it'll be a fun show. So we're looking forward to it. Ian, as far as your week is concerned, I'm assuming that you had the opportunity to smoke something interesting.
I did.
Right?
I sat on my patio this morning and watched my cat explore outside a little bit.
Honestly, I thought you were going to say you watched your cat explode. And I was like, what happened to your cat?
I hate it when my cat explodes.
So explore. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so she was an outside cat when we found her, and once she came inside, she's like, I'm not going outside for like months. Now she'll like poke her head outside, and when she walks outside, she has that slow like I'm looking around at everything kind of thing. It's odd because she was living out there for a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, I sat out there.
So she was out exploring today, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
While I was smoking my cigar. So that was entertaining. I had a cigar I believe that you gave me. The AJ Fernandez Diaz
de Gloria.
De Gloria.
If it's an AJ, I did probably give it to you.
Yes.
Because that's my jam
Yes.
right there.
I have actually bought AJ cigars before.
I
that
know,
you
yeah.
gave- But this one you gave to me. Diaz de Gloria means glory days. This was a 6x56 Toro, Nicaragua Puro. I know this is all weird considering that you gave this cigar to me. All these things are very strange.
Well,
right?
I know. The fact that it's a Nicaraguan Puro, the fact that it's an AJ. Yeah, imagine that I gave you that cigar.
What a beautiful presentation. It has the two bands. It has the Diaz de Gloria band, which is real pretty, and then underneath it has the AJ Fernandez band, and then a cedar wrap that finishes up the cigar. So you don't get to see most of the cigar, but the packaging is really nice. When you pull the band off, it's medium brown, kind of a milk chocolatey brown, smooth, very small veins in there. Not like lumpy veiny, but very smooth and veiny. Oily, firm box press, very classy presentation. The pre-light sniff on this, I got barnyard, I got earth, I got leather, I got spicy notes at the foot of the cigar, which is a nice little teaser. The pre-light draw, I used a punch. It had a very light draw. Rich earth, fermented hay, leather, and sweet cappuccino is what I was tasting on this. The initial light of this, punch of leather followed by a burst of pepper and some tangy earthiness. Not a whole lot else going on with it, but very nice right off the bat. The first third of this, spicy, baby. That's what I put on there, was spicy, baby. Earthy flavors abound. Pepper, clove, leather, tangy hint of cappuccino, some campfire on the finish. The retrohale was very pleasant, leaves a hint of cinnamon, I thought. Very solid ash, perfect burn. The ash fell on me, as ashes do quite often.
I was going to say, this is not a new experience for you. Yeah.
But the ash fell on me twice.
Okay.
Once right at the second third of the cigar, and once right at the third of the cigar. Like it was
almost
like,
as if to announce, okay, next section.
Now rate your next section. The pepper spice remained strong in the second third. Campfire and spices rounded out the profile, including cloves and cinnamon. Oaky notes become more prominent. Slight sweetness on the finish. Solid ash, perfect burn. This is, by the way, a full flavored cigar. There is no medium about this. This is full flavored right from the beginning of it. The last third of this, pepper and spices back off a bit, oddly enough, leaving room for the leather, the campfire. A ton of oaky and cedar notes finished off the cigar. Solid ash, perfect burn all the way through this cigar. What a great thing. Price to quality, I looked it up. About $10 for this cigar. In that neighborhood, I get a 5.5. It's AJ Fernandez. You expect his cigars to be good.
You do.
He puts his name on it. It's going to be a good cigar, is what I found. 5.5. It punches it a little bit above its $10. It is worth every bit of $10 and outstanding if you're in for a full cigar with a lot of spice.
As somebody that smokes a lot of different AJ blends, I can tell you that the Diez de Gloria is the one that I find to be the most similar to like a Cuban style of flavor.
Yes.
I won't go so far as to say it tastes like a Cuban because there's still a difference in that tobacco.
There's an earthiness
but
that
there's a real
Cuban cigars have.
And this cigar has a lot of
and
that.
there's also a fermented hay, almost a funk's not the right word, but kind of a fermented hay thing that a lot of the Cubans just generally have that you miss a little bit in it. But I agree. The flavor profile, if you get a full flavored Cuban cigar, this flavor profile is very similar.
And I will tell you from smoking a lot of AJ's cigars that I get so accustomed to and I enjoy so much the spiciness of his cigars that it can kind of make some other blends seem really mild by comparison. Even if they're a good medium or medium to full bodied cigar, if you don't get that same pepper tang that I'm kind of used to now from all the
do
AJs.
not smoke a Davidoff after this.
Oh, no, definitely not. If you're going to smoke the Davidoff, do that first and then go.
Do not smoke a Davidoff after this. You will not even taste it.
And then go with the AJ. Well, I think that's an excellent cigar. I smoke a lot of AJs. That's one of my favorites. I think at this moment in time, the Enclave is probably the one that I'm most zeroed in on.
That's a great cigar.
But that doesn't count the special, what was it, 175th that he did for H. Upman is probably his crowning achievement. But those they're expensive and I hoard them. That's that may be for. I may smoke that one during the super mega ultra big sporting event game thingy. It's kind of a special time cigar. So, and I've got one left in the humidor. So I'm excited about that. So, but yeah, it's good. So, all right, I tell you what, let's do. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we got a lot to do in the next segment. I'll tell you about my cigar this week. We're going to want to crack into this first beer, the Karbach that Ian brought along, and then Chris is going to make the first of his cocktails. How many different cocktails are you making today?
We've got three.
Three. Okay, so we'll get to a beer and a cocktail, I think, in this next segment.
God bless America.
So this is why it's so great to be here and be doing this, America, baby. So Karbach Brew Sanity coming up, and I'll tell you about a very interesting cigar I had a chance to smoke this week. Coming up, it's Smokin and Toastin. Welcome back. It's Smokin' and Toastin'. We are the radio program that's all about craft beer fine spirits and hand-rolled cigars, and today about cocktails, too, which is going to be very exciting. Welcome back to show number 220. Our good buddy Bruce Stark, on Stark, we like to call him, is on the comments today. He's a big fan of Mr. Twirligig, so he's excited about the Twirligig replacement we have going on here on the show. But he mentioned, and I had read about this, he mentioned that Budweiser and Pepsi are not doing Super Bowl ads this year, and that's only partially true. AB InBev is advertising, but they're not going to do the usual. They usually will do an ad for Budweiser with the Clydesdales and all of that. They're instead going to be advertising Bud Light, and in particular, the Bud Light Hard Seltzer that they've got such a push going on behind.
You mean they're not going to do a slang campaign or a bully campaign this
Yeah,
year?
no, it doesn't sound like it, although you never know. Because everybody usually debuts new ads for the Super Bowl.
Do we have to be careful how many times we say Super Bowl? Should we call it like the amazing soup container?
I think as long as we're not trying to put our name next to it, I think it's okay to call it the Super Bowl.
Okay.
But if we're telling you about Budweiser advertising in the Super Bowl, I think that's okay. Or not advertising, as the case may be. So anyway, it's always interesting to look forward to the Super Bowl ads. There are usually some good ones. Although I will say, as somebody who's been watching the game for years now, I feel like the last 4 or 5 years, the overall quality of the ads has gone way down. It's like people are trying too hard. You know what I mean?
Reaching.
Yeah, they're reaching. And so it'll be interesting to see if maybe, in the COVID environment, if everybody kind of like pulls back a little and maybe we get some interesting things.
Yeah.
Because last year I remember watching some of them just going, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
So, kind of missed it on that one there, buddy.
Yeah. So I'm actually really excited about Super Bowl personally. I have been a fan of Tom Brady for 20-some-odd years now, ever since I lived in Boston for his first Super Bowl run with the Patriots. And so I've been rooting for the Buccaneers all year, and the fact that they're in the Super Bowl, I'm super excited about.
Watch your language.
Plus, thank you. Plus, Patrick Mahomes is incredibly talented, the quarterback for the Chiefs. So this should be a good shootout game. It should be a fun one to watch. So
I'm for it.
Yeah. All right. So we'll get to the cocktails in a moment. Let me first tell you about this cigar that I had this week. I am a really, really lucky man. I got great cigars for Christmas this year. I got gifted, and I've said this before, but I want to really thank a lot of them. I got such good cigars because the people buying them went over to Casa de Monte Cristo, Serious Cigars by Casa de Monte Cristo here in Houston, and the guys there led them, directed them perfectly towards. They said, "Oh, Cruze, yes, we know what he likes," and they actually got them to pick some great things. So today, I smoked. I think this is the last one that I got for the holidays that I hadn't smoked or hadn't smoked one of. I've got one more of these in the humidor. Today, I had the Arturo Fuente Hemingway Between the Lines.
Nice.
So the Hemingway is a very short cigar that Fuente puts out, and the regular Hemingway is, the stuff of legend. Mm-hmm. But this one is a barber pole cigar. Mm-hmm. So think the Hemingway, but wrapped in the barber pole. It's very short, and it's a gorgeous cigar.
Yes.
I mean, there are some barber poles that look kind of half-assed. This is not one of those. They do a really, really good job with it. They use Connecticut shade and Connecticut broadleaf wrapper around it, and you can see it in the picture there. And I went ahead and in the next picture, I took the band off so you can really see the barber pole and how precise it looks. But they use those wrappers over Dominican binder and fillers. Pre-light on this was very woody, a little spicy. I was able to use a punch in the end of it in the head, and lit it up. The initial puffs were toasty and peppery. And remember, this is Dominican tobacco, but I think the pepper profile may have come from the broadleaf that's in the barber pole wrapper. But it was nice and peppery on the initial puffs, almost like a Nicaraguan cigar was what I got. Anyway, great flavors from the very beginning. Tough to divide a cigar this short into thirds, so I'm going to talk about the first half and the second half. All right. So first half was layered flavors and was just very savory. There was oakiness, baking spices, the pepper that I mentioned, some notes of earth, and the second half got a little bit creamier. And there was a bit of nutmeg kind of weaving through all of those flavors. It was really enjoyable, and the construction, flawless.
Yeah.
And Arturo Fuente, I mean, they really know how to roll cigars there. I would be very surprised to ever get a Fuente that the construction was less than perfect.
There's a reason everyone's heard of Arturo Fuente.
That's absolutely right. Barber Pole, maybe one of the more difficult cigars to roll and roll properly. And this thing burned like an absolute champion. Didn't even think about burning crookedly. It was just perfect all the way down. The Between the Lines was a medium-bodied smoke that occasionally creeped towards medium full at certain times and then would back down. It was really, really good. But here's the thing. It's a $15 to $16 cigar.
Yeah.
And it's little.
Yep.
So-
It's a mini perfecto is what it actually is.
That's exactly right.
And a perfecto is tapered from the end that you put in your mouth, the head, and it's tapered out somewhat towards the foot, and then comes down to a smaller point that you light.
Right, that little point. And you can see it in the first photo, just that little point lit.
Yeah.
And that's how it starts, and then obviously it spreads. And again, a lot of times when you have a cigar that's like that, it'll develop a run or a canoe in the early parts of the burn because you don't get it lit quite right, and the tobacco doesn't burn as evenly. And here with this one, even though it was barber pole, I mean, just
dead
perfect all the way down. 15, 16, a lot for a small cigar. It smoked for about 40 minutes. It's a really awesome cigar to get as a gift. 15 to 16, you got a lot of options, but it was so good. So I really wrestled with where to put this one on price to quality. Ultimately, I'm going to give it a 5. I feel like it was worth the 15 to 16. I could have smoked, a couple of AJ Fernandez, enclaves for that. But still, it was a great
The regular short
experience.
story, which has a Connecticut wrapper only, is about $6.
Right. So
$6 to $7, I think.
So yeah, if you think of that, same smoking time, really good cigar, and this one's maybe 3 times the price, or almost 3 times. I don't know. It is a pricey cigar, but it's a great splurge, and if you get one for a gift, it's even better.
Nice.
So I'll take it. It was really an enjoyable smoking experience. I recommend it, and also it's nice to have. I have some short cigars in my humidor, but they're ones that are just kind of okay.
Yeah.
Like they're good to smoke. If I only have a few minutes to smoke, half an hour, 40 minutes, and I want to smoke something, they're what I usually grab, but they're nowhere near the kind of smoking experience that this
Right.
one was. So it's nice to have something like this in your humidor
I
for the
feel
right
like
occasion.
this style of cigar right here would appeal to smokers who don't smoke cigars as often, because I noticed that people who don't smoke cigars as often don't always want to commit to an hour and a half
Well, that's a good point.
on a cigar, and so maybe
Yeah.
that's an attractive option to have a really good cigar that you're not ditching half of.
Well, when after the cigar boom, when the dust kind of settled from that, the Robusto emerged as the favorite or best-selling size of cigar, and recently Toro surpassed it. But for many years, the Robusto was kind of the best-selling cigar, and I think it's because of that reason that not everyone can say, I'm going to smoke for the next 2 hours.
Right.
So it's easier to maybe grab that Robusto and know you're going to be there for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how it smokes. So anyway, this is a great cigar. I would love to always have one of these in the humidor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because it's really, really good. So recommended highly. All right, let's get to the beer here, Ian. This is a very interesting beer that you brought in. We've had a number of Karbach beers on the show. There's been some we've really liked. There's been some that we thought were okay. I don't think they make a bad beer. You know what I mean? Like I think everything that they make I like. But I don't. As we've often talked about, when they got bought by AB, they discontinued both of our favorite Karbach beer.
Yes.
Which was their Sympathy for the Lager, which was a dark lager, and it was fantastic. And I really wish they would bring it back, maybe as a seasonal or something.
Yeah, Sympathy for the Lager was my absolute go-to everyday beer. AB InBev bought them. They immediately ditched the lager. And I was very sad about that. And then since then, I can only think of one other beer that they've come out with since then that was actually an outstanding beer.
And that was?
And that was the Conservation Ale.
Yes,
which was
the
very
Coastal
good.
Conservation Ale, which was very good. It was a very light beer.
Yes,
And had
but
a
it was very good.
almost a saltiness to it, but it was really appetizing.
All of their other offerings since then have been, they're okay. They're fine, and they still have Love Street, which is fine.
Love Street's very good.
My biggest issue with them is I hate to shell out. It's a good beer. If it's the only one that the place has that's not Budweiser itself or Miller Lite or something like that, I will always go for Carbach because I know it's going to be better. It's going to be more to my palate. I just generally try to buy beers that aren't putting money in AB InBev's pockets.
I understand, yeah.
When I can,
Sure. So that said, this is a golden strong ale. It's 8.5 ABV, but it's actually very light colored. I'm used to strong ales being a little more reddish, a little darker.
The golden strong ale, more. Think of it more along the lines of like a Belgian or something like that. It's going to be fruity. It's going to be, and definitely on the lighter side. They're usually golden, of course, like the color. But even huge beers that are along these lines in the 8.5% like this, they're generally a much lighter color.
This tastes very much. I've had the first sip. Does taste very much like a Belgian ale. It's got that sort of malt snap to it, and a little bit of that sort of German bitter on the back end. What's your take on it?
And there's a fruity funk to it.
Yeah, there is a fruity funk.
This is a surprising one for them to come out with, because it's not. This has nothing. To my knowledge, this has nothing to do with the current trend in beers.
I think you're right.
And that's all they've been doing since AB InBev took over. Hazy IPAs came big. They put Hazy IPA.
And by the way, they just came
session
out with
IPAs. They did session IPAs.
And they just came out with hard seltzer, which is
what
what everybody's doing.
So they're following trends. This is a surprising one. I don't know if it slipped through. Maybe they snuck it under AB InBev.
Maybe
the
brewmaster just wanted to do it. You know what I mean?
It's a damn good beer.
Yeah, it really is quite good.
Flavor-wise, profile-wise, and $10 or as $9 for a 6-pack of this. It's pretty damn good beer.
I'm enjoying it.
So, kudos, Carbach.
So, thumbs up to Carbach. And I think this is a good time to point out that we don't always trash everything from an AB InBev-owned brewery. These breweries can still make some great beer. It's just, I still think it's unfortunate that they're not an independent, because they were, at one point, as an independent brewery, they were really putting Houston on the map as a beer city. And then that really seemed to fade when they got bought. But
before AB InBev bought them, they were pushing styles.
But I will say, I'm a capitalist. If they want to build a company and then sell it to a big guy for a bunch of money, that's part of the American dream. That's kind of what it's about.
I don't hate them on that. Make your money.
Yeah, exactly. Get paid. It's
but
okay.
Carbach's been a little bit polarizing in town for the people who are like the microbrew purists. And this is microbrew, but it's not independent.
Yeah. I mean, that was like the most open secret is like Carbach was literally built with like old distributor. Like it was literally built for no other reason than to sell. Like was the entire
That's a good point.
existence. And like they started putting out good beers, everybody got really attached, and then they sold, and everybody was like, well, wait. And it's like, that's literally what they were designed to do.
That's what it was designed to do.
Like if you didn't see that coming, like you weren't really paying
but
attention.
It's easier to root for a St. Arnold. It's easier to root for so many of the other Houston breweries, Eighth Wonder, and so many of the others that are really are right in that independent mold.
It's difficult to hold that stick up against St. Arnold, though, because St. Arnold's done it on their own terms. Like those guys,
absolutely right.
Like wow,
and St. Arnold continues to innovate. I really feel like St. Arnold does not get the credit they deserve in the national beer. So they were voted medium-sized brewery of the year, I think, several years ago. But I don't think they get nearly the recognition that they deserve for the innovative stuff that they do. I mean, they were doing that. Those the 4 times a year releases, the Divine Reserve. They were doing that stuff before most breweries were even brewing an IPA.
Yeah, here's the thing: most breweries at that volume level don't do those batches like that.
Right.
They just don't. And St. Arnold's been doing it for years and years and years now.
Yeah. And recently they've become very prolific. They've introduced a number of new styles across the last couple of years, and a lot of them have been very, very good. So I've
always been such a fan of all their seasonals. Their
Yeah.
seasonals are just outstanding to me.
All right, couple of days from now, the big ultra mega swinging game thingy will happen, and you're going to want to know how to make a cocktail. So we brought
The
the
amazing
cocktail
soup container.
master onto the show, our resident cocktail expert, Mr. Chris Morris. Chris, welcome back. And what are you making us today?
So the first thing we're going to start off with is just kind of a classic Pimm's cup. That's one of
Okay.
my favorite Texas heat. And the thing that I find most important with football and gatherings is not getting too drunk too fast.
Right.
So
the game's going to go
really
on for
love,
a while.
something that's super sessionable. Yeah, I mean I've definitely passed out by the third quarter a few times.
Sometimes, if you're lucky, you'll pass out before the halftime show.
Yeah.
It just depends.
That way
on
you
who
can
it
wake
is.
up for the end of the game.
It
Yeah.
just depends on who it is.
Ooh,
so-
do I have a story about that?
Oh boy, sounds fun.
But what I wanted to kind of showcase today, last time we were here, we were showing restaurant, competition level, really intricate cocktails. And
Today you're thinking simpler.
those are really fun, but no one's gonna do that for the Super Mega Sports Ball thing. So we're showing a little more kind of easygoing
Love it.
at home style
Stuff I could probably make.
I guarantee you can make this with minimal investment.
Okay.
So this dates.
It's a very optimistic view of my abilities.
Oh,
to
don't
mix a
worry.
drink.
Hey, listen.
I'm literally going to have you mix the second cocktail. It's that easy.
I was actually really proud of myself. I made a decent Paloma this week.
Oh.
It's the first time I'd made one before, and it was just okay. This week I made one that was pretty good. Yeah. So, but cocktails
Nice.
are not as easy to make as you might think.
Bartenders make it look so easy.
They do.
And really good
they're
bartenders
just shaking
make it look
stuff,
really easy.
shaking stuff around and pouring a dash here and a dash there. You're like, I can do that, and you do it, and you go, something's missing. You know what I mean? So I've concentrated on just a few things and tried to learn to make them well.
Yeah.
And so I was proud of being able to say, okay, now I can make a decent Paloma. So what is this one? I see some. Is that gin? Is that Hendrix
This is gin. So we're starting off with Pimm's. So this is the namesake of the cocktail. Dates back to the Pimm's Oyster House in England around 1840s or so. This is Pimm's number one. It's what everybody knows. There were originally 6 of them. Only 3 of them exist now.
Okay.
So we pour, 8 ounces, 10 ounces, quarter of a bottle, something like that.
I've never tried Pimm's.
Yeah.
Well, you're the one with the sample cups, Chief. All right, so we're doing that.
He's a guy that drinks Malort, let me just say. So the bar's not set too high.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a Lort people. I don't know that I'd say I drink it, but I'm gonna try a little
See,
something.
I love Malort, so
I
you
saw-
can say what you want.
I did see a post on Twitter this week, and it was what's the worst alcohol you've ever tasted?
yeah.
And I thought, let me just click to open the replies, and the first one, Malort. The first
so,
one.
Malort.
So Pimm's number one is actually a gin-based liqueur.
Okay.
And I like something with a little more kick. Pimm's is 25% ABV, so that's the only alcohol in the drink. So we wanted to kick it up a little bit, so we had a splash of Hendrix.
And you're a gin guy too,
I am
right?
I am a gin guy. And then you can add sort of whatever carbonated. Originally, it was done with what the British call lemonade, which is a less sweet Sprite. Americans tend more towards ginger ale. We're using ginger beer today for a little bit bigger kick.
Okay.
And like we said, this really isn't complicated. So
Oh
we're just
no,
gonna,
no! It's not complicated. As he pours 3 ginger beers simultaneously. Yeah, I could do that in my dreams.
They make a
Wait,
big. They make
Fever Tree?
They make a big bottle.
Okay.
Fever Tree rocks.
Yeah, and by the way, I wanted to mention several weeks ago, I wanted to know if you'd tried Dripping Springs Artisan Craft Gin.
Oh, I have. It's delicious.
We thought it was terrific, and quickly became one of my favorite gins. I really, really liked it.
Yeah, and as you can see, we literally mixed this in 2 minutes. That's how simple this can be. We put some strawberry, a little bit of cucumber in the glass.
Okay, so in the carafe here, you put
Just
Pimm's. How much? What
I don't know,
percent?
Quarter of a bottle.
Quarter of a bottle of Pimm's.
And a healthy glug of gin.
Yeah, and then you dumped in 3 of the small.
Yeah, they're the small ones.
Okay.
Just filled it up. It's not it's not rocket
What's
science.
the volume of that carafe?
Like a liter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
sprig
to,
of
And,
mint.
and if you're making it at home, you can add anything to this. You can add citrus and berries, whatever you have around. We had strawberries and cucumber at the restaurant, so that's what I brought.
Okay.
I like to finish off with a nice bright sprig of mint. Helps it feel more fresh. And like I said, this is something you can literally just set out. People walk in, add some ice, pour it. They're done.
All right.
And we got fancy straws because this is a classy podcast.
Classy.
I love the fancy straw.
There we go. So
Those are
Yeah.
amazing.
It really
it's
is just
a
that
straw
easy
that
sometimes.
stirs, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. I like it. I like to thoughtfully stir my drink as
it
I
also
as I chat
strains
with.
it.
It does.
Yeah, very nice.
That's the
very
fancy
nice.
part. It's not
so,
the steel.
So, do you recommend drinking it through the straw?
I do, because what's gonna happen there? Like, there's a reason this is a shorter straw, and it's so you have to put your nose like right in this bouquet.
Yeah, that
and
mint is right in your face,
and
it
it's
smells
really
amazing.
awesome too.
yeah, like if we had like a big steel straw, you're not gonna get any of the mint. So like that's
Mm-hmm.
the point of like a lot of these garnishes is to get your beak right up next to it.
So this
make
really,
you smell it.
This really is a wonderful gin drink.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if
It's delicious.
if gin is not one of your favorite spirits, but you want to try a good gin cocktail, this is a great one to go for. You get the flavor of the gin, but it's like, okay, yeah, I get why people love gin.
Yeah, and
so
like I said,
much,
it's
you know?
super customizable. Like you can do Fever Tree ginger beer, ginger ale. You can put grapefruit soda. You can put regular soda if you want to like cut down on your sugar. You can put Sprite. Fever Tree makes a really great bitter lemon soda, which is really close to like the original.
Makes a really good whiskey sour.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
I've used that's my whiskey sour secret.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Well, I'm digging this. This is great stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, like you watched it. It took 2 minutes to mix up this carafe, and then you like grab a plate of nachos. You're back to
You're back to the game. Yeah.
to whatever you happen to be watching at the TV at the time.
I see he's good at
The-
this
the-
We're gonna skirt
The
this line as
giant,
much as we can.
amazing
Yeah.
soup container
thingy.
sport thingy.
That's right.
The wonderful string of advertisements interrupted with a competitive endeavor.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you this about this particular game that we're speaking of. You know, ordinarily, if I'm watching just a regular football game, you know, during the season, the commercials are when you jump up and go make the drink or
Yes.
or do a beer run or whatever. But during this one, sometimes the commercials are at the very least people are going to be talking about them the next day, and you don't want to have missed the you know the one that everybody's going to be chatting about, you know. So being able to do something quick like this can be very important. You can go, oh, it's a Bud Light ad, I'll go do it during this, you know, and boom, you're together. Well, this is delicious. This
Glad
is delicious.
you like it, yeah.
Now,
Cheers.
if I order this in your restaurant, is this how it's made? Or?
Absolutely
Yeah.
not. No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
going to be all kinds of fussed up and crazy. Like
Have you been to his restaurant?
this is the at-home quick and dirty version.
His restaurant is awesome.
Oh,
When you
this is
order
why I
drinks
wanted
there-
to. This is why I wanted to ask the question.
Yeah, no, the one at the restaurant. So we actually have a variation of a Pim's Cup on our menu. So instead of gin, we use cognac. Instead of ginger beer, we use champagne because we are fancy. And it's shaken up with fresh lemon juice, some fresh ginger juice, so it's super bright and spicy, and then also some like strawberry and creme de cassis.
You know, I do that thing when I go to his restaurant that I think every bartender absolutely hates.
Yeah.
Where he's like, "What are you drinking?" I'm like, "I don't know. Surprise me."
Do bartenders hate that, or is that fun?
It kind of depends. Like if you actually mean surprise me, and I trust that like you're here because like you just want a good cocktail and like you kind of don't care and you're open to exploring, like yeah, then it's just whatever comes to mind. It's the people that are like, I really don't know, like surprise me, and then you surprise them and they're like,
Oh, I don't like this. Yeah.
I don't like mezcal, and you're like, well, maybe you should tell me these things. You know,
Gotcha. All right. Well, this one I like very much, and now I have to come to the restaurant and try the super ultra fancy version of it as well.
Yeah, nice.
But this I do think I could make, and maybe I could make
yeah,
it
absolutely.
during a Bud Light hard seltzer commercial.
You
which
could
would be-
literally make it during the next ad break.
Yeah. So, okay. I think we might do that.
Nice.
All right. We are going to take the next break here, and we will be right back with the next segment of the show. We have more beer to taste, including the Real Ale Small Batch Coffee Porter, which we'll be getting to.
delicious.
And I also have to tell you about the brewers have nominated their best snacks for the super ultra big mega game thingy, and so we'll see what the brewers have to say about that. So all of that to come, plus drinking news on the way, and a customized live performance of the second drinking news theme song. Smoking and Toastin. Welcome back. It's Smokin' and Toastin', the radio program that's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We are brought to you by MyCigarShirts.com. Great shirts on the web for cigar lovers and the people who love them, starting under $20. Go and check out the site. You will like it, MyCigarShirts.com, because... Cigars. Ian, let's do the... You know, that was very fumbly, but I liked it a lot. So
It's
Ian's,
that cocktail.
Ian's opening up our real ale porter here. You got cups, right?
I do. I got cups.
All right. While he's doing that, let me tell you about a couple of big names in their field that are teaming up. A big name in the ice cream field is Ben & Jerry's. You know, arguably one of the bigger names in ice cream in the world, right? Big name in the whiskey biz, Whistle Pig. Ben & Jerry's and Whistle Pig are teaming up. Wait for it. Whiskey ice cream. Does that?
I've done that many times.
Yeah, but they're like, you'll be able to actually go and buy it in the pint. Whiskey ice cream. You won't have to pour the whiskey into the ice cream yourself.
That sounds awesome.
It really kind of does. So that's going to be coming out. They have collaborated, and it is going to be called Ben & Jerry's Topped Whiskey Biz Ice Cream, a brown butter bourbon ice cream with blonde brownies and whiskey caramel swirls, topped with white chocolatey ganache and white fudge chunks. There's just not one thing in that doesn't sound amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's makes use of Whistle Pig's 6-year-old piggyback rye in the formula, cooked into the caramel swirls. So look for that coming soon to a grocer's freezer near you. I've always wanted to say that. Your grocer's freezer.
I remember Real Ale coming out about 10 years ago. And
That's about when I learned of them, yes.
And it came out, and it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started having these Real Ale coffee porter release parties because it got so popular.
Yeah,
and those
yeah.
were amazing.
Uh-huh. So is this a special, like, limited porter, or is this something that's available all the time?
Well, this is a seasonal release.
Okay.
So our time now, and I think it's probably almost gone, but our time now is just waiting until the next time it comes out, which is usually December, I think.
Well, this...
and this is, for me, the ultimate coffee porter. There are tons of coffee porters out there, and a lot of them are good. This one is the coffee porter.
So Real Ale they're based out of Blanco, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, I've been to Blanco. It's a nice place, but there's nothing to do if you're there. So go to Real Ale.
Go to Real Ale.
And like hang out in their tap room and enjoy them. So Blanco is one of those hill country towns north of San Antonio, and it's a great place to live, but like I said, not much to do. And these guys opened this brewery there, and they're just tremendous.
It's a dark malty porter with sublime coffee notes. Working in the hill country from a foundation of time-honored brewing tradition, Real Ale believes minimal processing produces maximum flavor.
And you know what? That really is true of this when you taste it. It doesn't taste like they've done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, the coffee.
You know,
the
it's
coffee
real
is
pure.
more like finishy.
Yeah. It's there. It smells coffee. Mm-hmm. It's definitely beer. It doesn't taste like coffee with some beer added. It just tastes like something that was done well. It's like the difference between when you toss something together, like a stroganoff from a Hamburger Helper versus going to a restaurant and getting a really good stroganoff.
Right. I know what you mean. Yes.
I mean, there's
and cheese out of the craft box versus mac and cheese created by a chef at a restaurant. Yeah.
Yes, it's a big difference, and it's the way the flavors blend, and it's how it hits the palate. And this is an absolute delicious.
So
beer.
this is
I
really
wait for
good
it every year.
I really enjoyed. Was only a few shows ago we did the Founders Porter. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that. This is, to me, just every bit as good. Mm-hmm. It really is a.
This is that kind of good with coffee flavor. Mm-hmm. I wonder how much caffeine is in there.
I don't know. It's made with Cat's coffee, cold brew, yeah, and
it has been since day one.
I'm not a coffee expert, but I understand that's a pretty reputable brand of coffee, right? That's really good. So this is a limited release, but it comes out.
It's a seasonal. It's every year.
Okay, well,
every year around December-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So
I will be looking for some of that. That's
absolutely
good. That's absolutely good. All right, this is a short segment, so we're going to enjoy the rest of this porter. Come back, and the next cocktail you're going to make is about what?
The Kansas City football team.
Oh, okay. I figure I figure we live in a world where political correctness is such a big deal now that sooner or later every single football team's mascot will be deemed inappropriate.
Yes.
And it's just going to be the Kansas City football team versus the Tampa Bay football team or whatever, the Houston football team, whatever it is.
And then footballs will be offended, and we'll have to change that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, can't call them pigskins anymore. That's not fair to the pigs. So this is a drink inspired by the Kansas City team?
Inspired by Kansas City, and I do have a personal present for you on the flip side.
Fantastic. We'll look forward to it, and we'll enjoy a little more of this porter, and we'll be back with more, and we're only a segment away now from Drinking News. Welcome back. It is Smokin' and Toastin'. It's the radio program, podcast, and extreme video extravaganza known worldwide as Smokin' and Toastin'.
Hello.
And we are thrilled to have you here. We're brought to you by MyCigarShirts.com. Great snarky shirts for cigar lovers. When I say snarky, it's just they've got like cool stuff on them. Things that say like, well, the one that Ian has that I love so much that says, you can't hurry up and smoke a cigar.
That's
There's also stuff like cigar smokers appreciate a great butt and, stuff like that. It's good stuff. And if you're a dog lover, I haven't ordered this yet. I have a rescue greyhound named Gracie, and I really want to get the sweatshirt that they've got that says, I just want to smoke cigars and pet my greyhound. And it's got the outline of the greyhound. It's
See,
cool.
I have a classic Texas brown mutt
Yeah?
named Honey.
Well, you have cats.
I have a cat.
You
Well,
got- so
sort
you
of
have
cats. I have some outdoor cats that.
Well, then you'll appreciate this shirt that they have at mycigarshirts.com that says, I just want to smoke cigars and annoy my cat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Only cat lovers, cat owners
Yes,
appreciate
yes.
that in its fullness. Ian, I found a new website that I love. You know that I'm a fan of liquor.com. They have great articles about everything from drink recipes to, what's going on in the liquor world. So I found something.
Is it on the dark webs?
I kind of wish it were, but no. I found something anybody can go to. You don't have to worry about a Trojan virus infecting your computer. It's hopculture.com, and it's all about brewing and
I have
beers.
seen Hop Culture.
And yeah, I just discovered it this week. I know several beer sites, but I really like this one. And one of the articles I found there that I thought I would share a few things from is the best beer snacks to eat while watching football, according to brewers.
Nice.
So these are the guys from the breweries that are saying, yeah, here's great snacks to eat alongside our beers while you're watching the big ultra mega swinging happening game thing.
Does everyone just say pretzels?
well, we'll see.
I would hope so.
The first one is James Heroltz, who is from Corporate Ladder Brewing. Corporate Ladder is based in Palmetto, Florida, and he says, I'd have to say that a really well done buffalo chicken dip paired with any drinkable beer is hard to beat. In particular, a mixed culture table saison that leans more funk heavy and less acidic sounds perfect. So these are some
my
very
wife
specific
makes
recommendations.
An amazing buffalo chicken dip, too.
Yeah. I love buffalo chicken dip. Divine Barrel Brewing in Charlotte, North Carolina. The marketing manager, James Amato, says, I'm going to give you 2 answers on my favorite Super Bowl snacks. And immediately he was contacted by the NFL, who threatened to shut down his brewery. He says, I posted your question to the team, and we were in absolute agreement that buffalo chicken dip was an absolute must. So that's been covered. We also got an Italian Pilsner that we've got out right now that goes great with it. And it would be the perfect pairing for buffalo chicken dip. It's a light, dry, crispy style. Typically has a hoppy finish for a lager, and it's perfect light for sport drinking while dry enough to quell the heat. Also wants to shout out to his wife, who makes pork sausage balls for Super Bowl. Now, I'm immediately intrigued by that.
That sounds good.
He says, I'm not sure exactly what she does to them, but they're so addicting she has to hide them from me. Green Bench Brewing in St. Petersburg, Florida. Christopher Johnson, who is the head brewer and co-owner, says, generally speaking, it's difficult to go wrong with wings or bratwurst for any football occasion. But this Super Bowl, to celebrate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the game at Raymond James, I'm smoking a pork butt, he says. And along the way, I'll be drinking several bench Beach Live Premium Lagers, likely a postcard pills or two. And during the game, alongside my pulled pork sandwich, I'll be drinking Sunshine City IPA. This is making me really hungry and thirsty and ready for the game. Yeah. Highland Park Brewery in Los Angeles says, my go-to Super Bowl snack, this is James Sullivan, the marketing manager. My go-to Super Bowl snack is buffalo chicken dip, so I sense a theme here.
Apparently buffalo chicken dip. No one said pretzels yet.
Yeah, I know. It's a particularly filling snack. I recommend drinking it with something lighter, like a Pilsner. And he says, as a Patriots fan, it's going to be weird to be seeing Tom Brady in the Super Bowl in a different jersey. And that's true, I think, for a lot of people. The Hop Culture magazine themselves... They had a quote from John A. Paradiso, who's the managing editor. He says, I'm not really a huge football fan, but I do consider myself a snack connoisseur, so I'm always thrilled for Super Bowl Sunday. I'm a sucker for the classics, wings, veggie platters, and pigs in a blanket.
And buffalo chicken dip.
But I'm also always down to mix it up a little. So he's looking forward to cooking up a batch of slow cooker chili, of which he says the secret ingredient is cocoa. And it's going to be... going to be sensational, he says. So looking forward to that. Lost Tavern Brewing in Hellertown, Pennsylvania says, they say, to me, a Super Bowl party should have a few flagship snack items on the table. They go with cold dip, spinach dip, taco dip, and classic shrimp cocktail. Hot dips, buffalo chicken dip, spinach artichoke dip,
nailed it,
jalapeno popper dip, and then other awesome snacks for the game include Swedish meatballs, wrapped scallops, and fried calamari with a balsamic glaze. So you got a little more of a chef thing going on for these guys. And finally,
I always have calamari at my sporting
that's
parties.
Exactly right.
Calamari.
Just fry up some calamari. I'll be right back.
Just
you know what else? Is great?
Grab.
Caviar.
Oh, caviar, always great. That's particularly good for during the halftime show.
Caviar and champagne is my go-to.
When the weekend,
I don't know about you peasants.
When the weekend goes into blinding lights in the halftime show, that's when I'm going to break out the Beluga caviar.
That's right.
That's going to be it. It's perfect. Finally, Pure Project Brewing in San Diego, California. Care to guess what they recommend?
Is there a buffalo chicken dip involved?
Buffalo chicken dip.
Damn it!
Nobody said pretzels.
Paired with their murky IPA. Yeah. So apparently pretzels just the just the outlier.
I want to point out a couple things about pretzels. First off, pretzel sticks are great in dips.
Yes, and they're really good in cream cheese.
Have you ever had a pretzel and buffalo chicken dip?
Oh,
no. What I'm thinking about. So the nice baked pretzels, like not the kind that come, not the Snyder's pretzels in a bag. The nice big baked ones, that's what I'm talking about.
You know what I really like is the pretzel chips. Have you seen them? They're thin.
Oh, those are awesome.
They come in those bags. They're really good. They're great for dips. They're great for hummus. They're great for anything. It's really, really good. Good with a piece of cheese on them, too.
Okay, so that and the buffalo chicken dip. That's what's happening.
All right. So Kansas City is known for barbecue. So I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of Kansas City fans rooting for their team in the big game this week. And they'll be making barbecue. And I'm wondering, is your Kansas City cocktail here a good pairing for barbecue, or are you coming at this from a different direction?
It'll be fun.
Okay.
But starting off, I have been following your journey since the last time I was here. Mm-hmm. And while you're far from Martini Masters, I do have a present for you.
Oh.
And we're not making martinis today. We are awaiting the challenger. We'll address that in a...
All right, yes, that is going to happen. I know we've been talking about it a long time.
But to assist you both, I have some wonderful olives that are hand-stuffed with Tom Brady cheese.
Now, what exactly is Tom Brady cheese?
It's goat cheese.
Oh, of course.
Because Tom Brady
is the GOAT, greatest of all time. Yeah, there's been much talk about this. Wow, and you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to eat one right now.
There's going to be martinis tonight.
Oh, so I'm very excited about this.
And if anyone doubts the validity of the hand stuffing, you can see the evidence.
I see the evidence on your shirt. Now,
I'm not just an unwashed slob. I was literally preparing for this show.
I was not planning for martinis tonight because I made them last night, but that may change. Oh,
so good.
These are as good to the olive world as Tom Brady is to the
football world.
Yeah.
I have to eat one or two now because when I get home and my wife gets her hands on
You're
these,
not going to get any more.
I won't have any more. She loves olives anyway.
So that is my gift to you to assist you on your journey. Vanilla style cocktails.
There will be martini tonight.
And while Kansas City is known for barbecue, they're also known for one other thing, which is rye whiskey.
Oh, yes, that's true.
So we're doing a rye whiskey cocktail that is so simple, even two buffoons can make it properly.
Oh, good, because that will be
I don't
meaty
understand.
and-
You're gonna have to dumb it down.
Well, wonderful. You get to be the subject.
All right.
So, as I've established, there's no magician, no trickery. Would you like to inspect these bottles?
There is actually nothing up your sleeve because you don't have sleeves.
these are all at the very same level. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Open all three of them and pour them in here.
So Ian's opening these and pouring them
So
into
all
the
you need
large
to make
carafe, right?
this cocktail at home is 3 mystery bottles at the same level.
Okay, gotcha. And what's in here, Chris?
So this is the Boulevardier,
Okay.
which is a rye whiskey Negroni.
Okay. So is this rye whiskey in these bottles?
One of them is rye whiskey, one of them is sweet vermouth, one of them is Campari.
Okay.
So they're
Campari.
in equal measures. It's as simple as it gets.
Okay.
You can, if you have enough people over, you can buy a bottle of each, chuck them all in a pitcher, and then we're just going to take this. See, super easy, right? Like we've done that. And that's all you need to do, and then people can fill up their glass with ice.
So while you're pouring those, let me ask you a cocktail question.
Sure.
So a perfect example is I mentioned making the palomas. What I generally do when I try a new drink is I find a recipe for it, and I make it exactly according to the recipe in terms of how much of each of the of the components, right? And then I drink it and enjoy it. And this totally happened with these drinks that I made the other night. And then once I drink those, I go back and I make it, and I essentially double. In this case, I doubled the amount of tequila that the recipe called for. And when that batch came out, I was like, okay, this
That's
is how
where it
the drink,
goes.
right? And I do that with.
This smells great.
I do that with margaritas too.
Sure.
I put double the amount of tequila that the recipe calls for, and I generally like that the best. Am I just being ridiculous, or is there something to what I'm finding?
It all depends on the recipe, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of things are done in like sponsored formats, and much like you can't say certain titles, and you have to refer
Like
to
Super Bowl?
like Super Bowl or Superb Owl.
Right.
A lot of people have to kind of like not put like so boozy cocktails
Right.
out there. Like, and you notice anytime like you get recipes, they're always in parts. They're not in ounces. It's
Right.
this
one
weird
part this, one
yeah,
part
it's
that.
like a weird which I think is quite frankly more dangerous. Like
Probably.
I'd much rather you talk
Well,
about ounces because that
what-
gives people an
Yeah.
actual metric.
What if my part is a
Yeah,
pint?
exactly. What if my part is a rocks glass? Like,
Yeah. Right.
yeah, like that's not the same.
Well-
and it just depends on where you're getting your recipes, right? Like if you're getting a recipe that's from like a known bartender, right? Like if you take my recipes and you double the rum, like it's going to be too boozy, it's going to be wrong.
Right.
It's not going to taste as good. There are some others that just aren't balanced correctly and need adjustments to get
But
there.
I thought
think
maybe I was just
You're talking
drunk,
about on the
you know?
back of a mix bottle, right?
Well, not necessarily. I've got little. I've got a great little book of cocktail recipes, or I get recipes off the internet from reputable sites like liquor.com and other places.
Yeah, so like if I get a recipe, I'll routinely adjust it to my taste, and that usually involves like upping the base spirit and lowering the amount of sugar in the drink. Mm-hmm. So like there's always adjustments that you can make. It's kind of like what we call Rule 0, which is like drink it how you like it.
Right. So when you're making cocktails in the restaurant,
Yeah.
Do you err towards more booze, or do you err towards less so you don't like blow people away with
I
that?
err towards whatever presents the absolute best end cocktail.
In terms of flavor and the taste
and
mix
if that
everything.
means putting in 2.5 ounces of cask strength whiskey, then damn it, that means putting in 2.5 ounces of cask strength whiskey.
Well, I don't think this is cask
It is-
strength,
it
but
is not.
It sure is good.
So that's Knob Creek rye. So that's 100.
Okay.
That's 100 proof. And the thing I love about this family of cocktails, the Negroni, the Boulevardier, which you can make with mezcal, tequila, like pretty much anything you can sub in. Mm-hmm. It's just a very simple formula of equal parts spirit, sweet vermouth, and Campari.
This is
literally
really delicious.
any Amaro or bitter that you like Aperol, Ramazzotti, Cynar, whatever you like that's bitter.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we call a Mr. Potato Head cocktail. You can take any one of those things and switch them out. And they all produce, in the end, very likely a palatable cocktail. And there are proven ways to do it and proven theories. But it's just like the thing I like about it is it's only an ounce of spirit towards like a traditional build. So again, going back to like the Pim's Cup thing, you're drinking a whiskey drink, but it's not like you're just hammering like 6 old fashions.
Right.
So like it gets you feeling good, but it doesn't put you over the edge, and that's the thing I love about this like style.
Okay, so there's a lot of drinks that like cocktails that you get that are a lot of times a little too sweet, and one of the problems with a little too sweet is you drink them way too fast.
Yes, that's true.
This has enough bitter in it to make you stand off it a little bit. It's really good.
I think one of the things,
but it makes you stand off it just a little bit and not slug it back.
Well, I think that's
and you'll notice he has it off camera. It's halfway gone at this point.
Well, this is Ian we're talking about, so. But I think one of the
notice there's still half of it here.
Okay, that's again half empty, half full. We know how Ian likes to look at things. So no, but that's one of the things that I love about martinis is because there's so much alcohol in them. You don't slam them back. You really do. Well, or maybe you do, but you're really kind of encouraged to sip it because you can tell you're not drinking just this cocktail that washes down easy in the same way. It's, you can tell when you drink it, you're getting something substantial.
You don't drink your martini with a straw? Does that make me weird?
I'm not going to tell you I've never done that, but I would just say, But then again, if I had a cool straw like this in my martini, I'd be drinking it with a straw.
I have never in my life really been jealous about straws, but I am right now.
So you know what I do with straws? First of all, I'm so heavily against this move toward paper straws.
They're terrible.
They're awful.
I hate them.
They're just terrible. And what I don't understand about the move to paper straws is the same people who are advocating don't use plastic straws are recycling all kinds of other things that are plastic. Why can't we recycle the plastic recycles?
I mean,
we can recycle the straw.
Like most of the time, I just don't see the need for a straw anyway.
Right.
Like straws actively inhibit the way that you drink. Like they're literally like you're sucking up this drink and it's shooting it into like the middle of your palate as opposed to like getting like a nice full.
So you
gulp.
don't get it on the front of your tongue. You're saying?
Yeah, because different zones in your tongue detect different things. So, like drinking from a straw, like. Actively makes like a lot of drinks worse. Like sometimes it's a means to an end. If it's a crushed ice cocktail, I don't expect you to be like trying to deal with that.
Right.
But like almost every drink I think tastes better without any sort of straw.
So if it's a crushed ice cocktail and you're trying to drink it and you have a mustache,
I understand. Well, and I'll just say it's smart to listen to this guy because my martinis have improved dramatically
big time.
Since I stopped shaking them.
Yep.
And it was Chris that was here on the show that explained to us the sort of James Bond fallacy, if you will, that a martini should be shaken and not stirred. Now, I still shake margaritas and other things, but
absolutely.
But the martini, I've gone to stirring them, and it's so much better. It's so much better.
Yeah, eventually, if they both sit there long enough, they become the same drink. It's all about that initial sort of 5 minutes when they come out of the vessel, whether it's a shaker, whether it's a mixing glass like this.
I still make them in the shaker.
Yeah.
I just, but I stir it instead. Then I put the cap on
absolutely.
and strain it out into the glass.
I've been trying to mix them in the glass. It's been going all wrong.
Yeah. I would love to see that, actually.
That's a joke. I haven't done that, but
that would be awesome. So Ian made some martinis when we were doing when we had the gin.
Yes,
on.
because I always
and
have
he
a
did one
martini
shaken,
kit.
one stirred. It was interesting to compare them as to how they came out. But they were both good, but the stirred was better.
Yeah, I every time I've tried it, I've gone to the stirred one and gone, this is what I like.
You just
better.
get more flavor out of it. And like I said, like by the time they settle down, they wind up being the same drink. Once all the aeration is gone out of the shaken one, you're left with more or less the same beverage. It's all about that initial sort of 5 to 10 minutes when it's coming out bracingly cold and how that's affecting how you drink it. And that's the real sort of key difference in those like spirit forward drinks.
You really understand a lot about this. Let me ask you this question. If something were to happen to our sponsor here on the show and we were to lose the literally tens of dollars a month that we're able to make.
Tens and tens of dollars.
As hosts of the show, and I were to decide to change professions and go to bartender school, how... Let's assume I paid attention and did well.
Okay.
How good would I be when I came out of bartender school?
From like a functional or like a do you actually want to make money in the long run?
Well, so let's start with functional. Like would I know what I needed to hold down a bartender job somewhere?
Ish.
Okay.
Will you get hired anywhere that cares? No. There's a lot of like I'm a little more sort of forgiving. I know a lot of bar managers that if they look at your resume and they see bartending school, they just crumple it up and throw it away.
Okay, this is so interesting because I can give you a parallel to this. As somebody that's got a background in broadcast radio, people used to ask me, no one wants to get into it anymore. But back in the day, people did, and they'd say, how do I get into radio? And I would always say the last thing you want to do is go to broadcast school. I'd say go to a college that has like a radio, TV, film department that is really good at placing interns.
Yeah.
You will do much better as an intern in terms of getting a job. Can you do that as a bartender?
Bartending is very much the same way. You can go to school. Like, what I tell people is bartending school will teach you how to make drinks. It won't teach you how to tend a bar.
Interesting.
The drink part is easy. I just proved that
Yeah, Ian made this, and it was great.
Ian can literally make a restaurant quality cocktail.
Right.
That part is not hard.
I are smart.
Now the hard part is on Friday night when I've got 10 people at my bar top and 3 service tickets, and I need to remember to get hot sauce for these people, and this guy wanted an extra pair of chopsticks.
And you're trying to make drinks in the middle
and
of
I'm trying
all
to
that.
make every single one of them feel like they're the only people in the room.
Right.
That's the tending part of bartending.
Right.
Like the functional part of taking things and putting them in glasses and making them cold. That's the very, very easy part. That's just
Interesting, yeah.
That's memorizing like numbers, right? Like 2 3/4 3/4 1 1 1, like equal part 4. Like it's just very, very basic ratios. That part's easy. You can learn that with flashcards. You don't learn people with flashcards. You learn people by getting a job serving tables. So like you know the food, you know the drinks, you know how to serve people, you know how to multitask, you know how to work a POS system, and you know how to make people smile at the end of the day. Or you get a job bar backing, and so like you understand the flow of the bar and how important like keeping clean glassware going in and out is, and how important it is to like keep everything clean and organized at the same time. That's what makes a great bartender.
So, last bartending question, or maybe not the last one, but one more. How much of bartending is, and this is sort of the romantic image of the bartender, I guess, the guy who's the interested ear for the customer who's at the bar that has a sob story or whatever that might be, and they're sharing it with the bartender. Is that more like the movies, or does that really happen?
No, that really happens.
Really?
That happened to me very recently.
Really?
I had a.
And how important is that to being a good bartender?
It's extremely important.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I literally had a woman sit at my bar on Christmas Eve, and like, kind of dark humorly, kind of just be like, "Yeah, I don't know if it's worth it," and like literally telling me like kind of joke. She's like, "I'm gonna blow my brains out," and we're like, "Haha." And like over the course of the
You realize
conversation,
there's some seriousness
like
there. Yeah.
she tells me the exact model of gun that she bought and how it misfired the first time she took it out.
Wow.
And like one of my guys who was on the floor, who is a bartender, like literally at the end of the night when she's leaving, like stops her outside of our door and says, "We are so happy you came in tonight, and we want to make sure that you come back, and thank you and have a great evening." And
that made
all
a
she
difference,
wanted
didn't
was
it?
just somebody to talk, like,
Somebody to validate, or somebody to
she
to
sat
talk
she sat at the bar for 3.5 hours and spent $20. Like she had a glass of wine and 2 appetizers, like wonderful. All she wanted was somebody to just talk to for a couple hours, to just like just listen to her.
The non-judgy listener.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, and we did it. And like it's like that's something I still think about. Is like I haven't seen her since, and I'm like, holy shit! I hope she comes and sits at my bar again.
Wow. Well, that blows me away even more than this cocktail. And this cocktail is really good. Thank you, Ian. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with another segment. Guess what it's almost time for?
The super mega sports event thing.
It's almost time for drinking news. It's coming up next. It is Smokin' and Toastin', and we will be right back, my friends.
Awesome. I'm going to run.
Welcome back. It's Smokin' and Toastin'. Thanks for allowing us to take a little break there. Ian had to hit the little boys' room. In fact, you still got your mask on, Ian, from going to the boys' room. So there you go.
That.
No, very good. It's Smokin' and Toastin', craft beer, fine spirits, hand-rolled cigars, and today fine cocktails too. And Ian, have I caught up with you on the second cocktail, or is yours empty?
Man, I'm pretty amazing at making cocktails, aren't I?
Yeah, well, so we got about the same amount left. So this is good. You did a fine job.
Thank you.
You can make a black and tan. You can make a Boulevardier. Like we will get you
I will
there.
say those black and tans last week, They were really good.
They actually did turn out
I
really
really,
good, didn't they?
really liked it. Yeah. Welcome back to the show. We are brought to you by MyCigarShirts.com. Please check them out because they are a sponsor of the show and they help to keep us going. Like I said, those tens of dollars a month that we get, that's because of our sponsor. So
Dude, we're hoping to up it.
Yeah, we're hoping to up it to
by
12s.
the middle of the year, we'll be making 15s of dollars.
Right. And that'll be a wondrous day, won't it? It'll be a wondrous day. All right. So here's what you have to know about drinking news. First of all, drinking news is very often stories about people who've been drinking. But even when it's not, it's stories that are probably best enjoyed when you've been drinking. And we've been doing this segment on the show for a while now, and Ian came up with the Drinking News theme song, which I love and we've had a lot of fun with. But one day he came in with a recording of someone else doing a Drinking News theme song, and that person was, in fact, our guest today, our cocktail expert from Smokin and Toastin, Mr. Chris Morris. So Chris has brought a really nice-looking guitar in, by the way. That's a beautiful guitar.
I love the bridge on the Alvarez guitars.
Yeah.
What a distinctive and beautiful
Yeah.
design that is.
So he's brought his guitar in, and he's now going to perform live his intro, which is awesome, for Drinking News.
Yeah, we're doing a full improvised duet, too.
Oh, yeah.
so
So Ian's got
here.
ukulele, so it's going to be fun.
I will be improvising.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to see how this goes. All right. You always got to start with shredding, right? That's what I remember. All right. There's a podcast all about cigars and brews. Hanging out every week with Ian and Cruze. Spirited discussion and cigar reviews. And the segment known around the world is Drinking News. It's Drinking News. It's what I love. Me and a Florida man and a bottle of rum. Pour another round. What do we got to lose? Let me tell you a story, swear to God it's true. Well, a night on the town took a turn to the south. And I started drinking that whiskey and running my mouth. My belly up to the bar, another round or two. That's when the gambler said, I got a bet for you. He gave us 7-1. You know we couldn't lose. So me and that Florida man fought a kangaroo. We went a couple of rounds. It beat us black and blue. Lord, I hope we don't wind up on Drinking News. On Drinking News. On Drinking News. Me and that Florida man got a face tattoo. On Drinking News. On Drinking News. See, I told you, Mom, I didn't need to go to college. I'm performing on the worldwide famous Smokin and Toastin, singing a song about drinking news.
So I have to say, shredding on the ukulele, that's very impressive. So I have to say, first of all, I loved Ian's accompaniment. I thought, for something that you guys have not practiced, I thought that went really, really well. And secondly, it's so appropriate that we used Chris's Drinking News intro, which you'll see why in a moment. One of his lyrics ties in perfectly with today's
That is
Drinking
not
News.
an original lyric, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they gave me the preview, so I was like, we have to weave that in. That was especially for you.
Okay, so you weaved that in.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
I used to try, like, when he would do the drinking news, after I did the song, I'd try to accompany him with some, like, lit
Yeah.
background. It just distracts him. It's hilarious.
It does. It keeps you from being able to share the story. All right,
He can
here's-
only talk over music for 30 seconds.
Right.
And then he has to stop. It's his background. And
Because I'm thinking that somebody's going to start singing, and I gotta wrap it up really quick in just a few seconds, you know. Yeah, I remember when Billie Jean by Michael Jackson came out, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk up that intro. That's a DJ thing, and it's wrong and it's hurting people. But we'll talk about that another time. Drinking News. A Florida man
I love it.
with a Florida tattoo on his forehead. Adam, if you've not posted that, go ahead and put the photo up so everyone can see the Florida man with the Florida tattoo on his forehead.
Because one day this guy looked in the mirror and he thought, you know what this forehead needs? Florida.
So honestly, that is funnier than the story, but still, it should be shared. Should be shared with everyone. A Florida man with a Florida tattoo on his forehead was arrested for calling 911 twice to try to get a ride home, according to Florida authorities. His name is Matthew Leatham. He's 22 years old, and he dialed 911 to request a ride home after 4 a.m. in the Newport Richey suburb of Tampa on Sunday, according to a criminal complaint. So to see how this all ties in with our Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, we got a Tampa, Florida story. A Pasco County deputy found the man and offered to call him a cab or an Uber, but he said he didn't have any money, the complaint states. He then began walking in the direction he lives and pulled out his phone and called 911 again to ask for a ride. So the officer caught up to him and arrested him as he was on the line, according to the complaint. Authorities say the officer searched him and found marijuana because, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
He's been charged with misuse.
It was probably medical.
He's been charged with misuse of the 911 system as well as possession of marijuana. He was released on $300 bond. Unfortunately, there is no statute in Florida, although there should be, to charge him for the single most ridiculous forehead tattoo that anyone has ever used. So again, you just have to go back to that picture. That picture is drinking news.
That's pretty amazing.
And there you go, my friend. So, I don't even, what can you even say to a Florida tattoo on a guy's head?
Drinking news, drinking news. That was our time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all. Thank you for being here on Smokin' and Toastin' this week, Chris. We've done a couple of really great cocktails, but we have saluted the Kansas City Chiefs, the AFC team in the big game, and I think we probably should salute the other guys.
Absolutely,
they're the guys I'm rooting for this year. So
I started digging around, and I know Florida, we obviously need to do a rum cocktail, and I dug a little bit deep in the archives, and I found a cocktail called the Buccaneer. Sounded pretty good. But it gets even better in this very kismet sort of way, because you know where I found the Buccaneer cocktail?
where?
On the side of your bucking head?
In the Mr. Boston
Oh,
book.
see,
Nice.
what a
So
great
it took
tie-in. I
Mr.
love it.
Boston
Yep.
to make the Buccaneer great.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And it took Mr. Boston to make the Buccaneers great. So it all works out, doesn't it?
Yeah, no.
I love when things come together in that way.
So
know?
in the much less foreseeable part, I've literally never made this cocktail, so we're doing an experiment all together.
So while you put this together, I'll just mention our buddy Bruce Stark on the comments said something I thought was worth sharing that referenced our last segment. He said, "So who's surprised that Cruze doubles the alcohol in any recipe? No one." Okay, thanks, Bruce. I appreciate that. But look at the people I hang out with. Come on, they're bad influences on me. So I'll blame Ian for lots of things. So
That's perfectly reasonable.
yeah, perfectly reasonable.
I am the worst.
So you are using this wonderful Isle of Fiji rum from Plantation.
Yeah, so-
in this cocktail, you mentioned I think that it maybe called for spiced rum.
Yeah,
but you went this way instead.
The very original. We're talking a cocktail book from like the 1970s. So the validity of the recipes
That was back
is
before safety was invented.
Go,
is
Mr.
up
Boston.
to interpretation. So they originally called for a spiced rum. We're using Plantation Isle of Fiji. I think the modern kind of palate wants like that drier, bolder rum. But the Fiji's ever so slightly sweeter, so it's gonna fill the itch, if you will. So per cocktail, we've got an ounce and a half of that.
Mixing metaphors.
I like that.
We're getting there. So ounce and a half of rum, 3/4 ounce lime juice, 3/4 ounce pineapple juice.
Hey, do you? The pineapple juice got excited. Are you someone who is like, if I'm making cocktails at home, should I resist the temptation to go with that jar of lime juice? I should always squeeze fresh, right?
Always squeeze fresh.
That's what I usually do. But, sometimes you're looking at that thing in the refrigerator, you go, I could have this cocktail made a lot faster if I just squirt some of that in here.
Yeah, no, like
But-
you can
Always fresh.
pasteurized juice. You can taste it.
You can taste it.
I mean,
okay.
you can get away with like the canned pineapple juice, right? Like,
Yeah.
not everybody has like, you know.
I don't
like,
squeeze my own grapefruit juice when I make a paloma.
Yeah.
I do actually use a grapefruit juice from jar, but I do my own lime juice. I have a great little lime thing that you cut the lime
Yeah.
in half and then you just twist
for
it
sure.
across
Yeah,
the thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
no, that's one of the single greatest things people can do to like make their cocktails better at home is like stop buying those little colorful like lemon things. Like
Right.
you can taste it in the cocktail
And do real.
There's
real
no way
lemon
around
juice.
it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we've got rum, pineapple juice, lime juice, falernum, which is like a spiced rum cordial from Barbados, and then
Yum.
some creme de cacao or chocolate.
Okay. And what did you just do? The little
A little
drop
bit,
in?
little bit of Angostura bitter. It's just
Okay.
like classic
Yeah,
aromatic bitters.
that's the bitters that you should.
Look
If
how
you only have
classy
one,
those
If you only have
shakers
one
are.
bitters, that's the only one you should
Yes,
have.
right,
All
absolutely, so-
and then we shake this guy up.
and this is the Buccaneer. I'm very excited. I'll be trying to make this.
So it's a very unique.
on Sunday.
So there's a couple ways you can go about it. So it's a very unique style drink, and that's very tiki, but it calls to be served in like a martini style glass, which you don't see a lot. Most tiki drinks are kind of like crushed ice, tropical, like.
See, and I love tiki drinks.
Yeah.
I really do. It's such a wonderful, flavorful thing. So,
Well,
that's,
like I
that's
said,
a lot of shaking. How do you know when you're done shaking?
when it's cold.
Okay, gotcha.
And mostly feel at this point, but yeah. So that
When your
that was
hand
also
sticks to the shaker.
two cocktails in a large shaker. So you want to shake that a little bit longer.
Okay.
Make sure we're getting our dilution right.
Oh, I'm deluded. I am totally delusional.
I'm loving this one already just from the color of the drink in the glass.
So if you're again wanting to like take the kind of chill route and you have a bunch of people over, you can take this, you can put it in something like this, hit it with an immersion blender, and that'll get like that proper frothiness from the pineapple. And then you can serve it like a punch, and people can just come up and like pour it themselves if like you're not going to sit there entertaining everybody and hand squeezing and like making every
Right.
single cocktail because there's a super mega sports ball event to watch.
Right, yeah.
Dude, that is great.
Yeah, so last time I was here, we failed to have the nutmeg grater, but I brought it this time.
I love it.
Though if you are without, as we proved, a proper pocket knife will get the job done. But
I remember when we had that. I wish I was at a tiki
Yeah,
bar
That
beer.
was so good.
And Ian used his knife to grate the nutmeg, and it was really quite awesome.
Hey, you know, you use the tools you have at hand.
That's right. That's right. I love it. But that was just look how quickly he did that. And now these drinks
the
are
Buccaneer.
ready to rock.
And like I
Oh,
said,
my goodness.
I've literally never tasted this, but when I saw the Mr. Boston Buccaneer drink, there was no other option for this show.
Gentlemen, cheers.
Cheers to you, my friend.
And I
Cheers.
haven't tried it yet.
Clink, clink, clink. I did try a sip, and I'm going to proclaim this to be my favorite cocktail of the day, and not just because
Oh my,
it's
that's
Mr.
quite-
Boston.
that's quite delicious.
Wow.
It's Mr. Boston and the Buccaneers.
Oh, and the
it's
nutmeg
got
on
a
the lips
wonderful,
afterwards.
yeah, and it's got a wonderful tartness to it, and then you get that nutmeg spice on the
Yeah.
end. Wow, very nice.
Yeah, that's gonna go in the rotation. That's a good one.
You, sir, are a badass.
You should really think about serving this at the bar.
I mean,
that-
it's
at the restaurant.
I've got everything that's required to make it. So anyone that comes in that wants a Buccaneer,
This is wonderful. Okay, so I'll remember that because when I
Yeah.
come in, this is what I'm ordering. This is wonderful. It's got. I really think the core of it, though, is the funk of this Isle of Fiji rum.
Yeah.
That's what really makes it. I think if you made this with a spiced rum, it would be good, but it
Yeah.
wouldn't have the same complexity to
Yeah,
it
like
that this
that-
has.
like-
It has that weird
when you think about the era
rubberiness
that they're
to it.
talking about, like they'd probably be making this with like Captain Morgan. It would be like over the top sweet, and like just not get there. I think using a more modern rum is the right approach.
Oh, I love it with this rum.
That's
Oh,
a good
wow,
choice.
That's terrific.
I'm curious
Yeah.
because I can't remember exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell that's where the
That-
rubbery
You can
funk.
taste it for a second time.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
you're the one with the glasses.
Well, oh, there is that.
Yeah, don't be shy, because clearly we've all heard how you haven't had the opportunity to taste this to the same.
Let me
degree
tell
that I
you
have.
what happened with the plantation rum.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about it.
We're repetitive, so I don't mind telling it again.
We've been accused of that exactly. Well, this is terrific. I mean, really, there's something to me about rum cocktails I love the whiskey cocktails, the gin cocktails. There's something about rum cocktails that take you away to the islands in your brain in a way that just no other spirit quite does.
On this, so the drink itself is so good, and then like one of my favorite things is the specialness of having that nutmeg on the froth on top that's stuck to your lip after a sip, and then you lick your lips afterwards, and you get this like second great awesome thing from the drink. I love that.
I want to mention that Liliana, our tequila expert here on the show, mentioned in the show notes she'd love to find out more about great cocktails with tequila and with mezcal. Would you be willing to come back on the show with Liliana and have her talk about tequila and you make tequila cocktails?
I'm never coming on this show again.
Okay, good to know.
Noted.
Good to know.
When you ask that question, and you're like, I know they're gonna say yes.
Yeah, right. All right. Well,
Are you asking me if I am willing to take half of my day on a Thursday to come drink tequila?
Yes.
All right.
All right. That's good.
Did you see the show that we had Liliana on?
I did.
She's amazing.
Yeah. She walked in here with this array of tequila bottles. It was just fantastic. Some of them were things we'd never seen before, and I'm like, okay,
I actually
she's
can't
just awesome.
stop drinking this.
This is so good, isn't it? Yeah, you've gotten ahead of me here, but I am committed to.
I mean,
catching
we have
up.
enough for a second round. I'm just saying, if we need to get there.
All right. Well, we got one more beer to taste, and then maybe a second round.
There is that.
Yeah. So, all right. So I tell you what, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll taste that beer in our final segment. And Ian, what is our final beer? I've lost track.
It is the Imperial Gingerbread Spice Stout from Open Gate Brewery, Guinness.
Guinness, and here it is on Mr. Twirligig. We've had lots of requests to feature the new Mr. Cousin Twirligig a little more prominently, so we're kind of configured differently today. But in next week, we promise we'll have a we'll let you see Cousin Twirligig in all of his new glory. It'll be fun, and we'll be back to taste the Guinness, and I'll be drinking more of this during the break. It's Smokin' and Toastin'. We are so thrilled to have you here, and thanks again, Chris Morris, for being on the show today.
That is outstanding.
I know, right? Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Welcome back. It is Smokin' and Toastin'. It is the program that's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We are brought to you by MyCigarShirts.com, an excellent site with great T-shirts for cigar lovers and the people who love them. I just wanted to mention, by the way, we will be working to get you and our tequila expert, Liliana, on the same show. We'll talk tequila, we'll drink tequila, and we will talk tequila cocktails, because that would be a lot of fun.
This man's lining up shows. We've got a future martini show coming.
Right. Oh yeah, you're going to be back and drinking with us.
There you go.
On a number of occasions.
Sounds terrible.
Speaking of drinking, I'm very excited to try this Guinness, and Ian's got it in his hands. So, all right, very good. We had Guinness on the show last week because we did the Guinness with the nitro in the can to make our black and tans. And I got to tell you,
I even showed everybody how to pour that one properly.
I was very, very impressed with the quality of our black and tan. So this actually, now I was expecting this to be a little bit lighter in color, and it's not as dark as a usual Guinness. But it is pretty.
This is from the Open Gate
interesting.
Brewery, and if you're not familiar with Guinness Open Gate Brewery, this is the one they opened in
Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland, is known as the Open Gate Brewery, and
or as my friends who live in Baltimore call it, Baltimore.
Baltimore. And so they've been putting out stuff under the Open Gate Brewery Guinness name. So this is the Imperial Gingerbread Spiced Stout, aged in Kentucky bourbon barrels, brewed and bottled by Guinness Brewing Company, Baltimore, Maryland.
And what surprises me, this is not. I was expecting this to be like in a bomber or a larger bottle, but this is just a regular 12-ounce bottle.
This came in a 4-pack. This is a 11.2 ounce bottle, so slightly smaller. Came in a 4-pack, and
11.2
was $20 for the 4-pack. So an expensive 4-pack. But I think when you try it, can you smell this, by the way?
I am smelling the gingerbread already.
I think when you try this, you'll understand. This winter treat was brewed with allspice, ginger, cinnamon, and nutmeg, which, by the way, is going to go great after that, I'm sure. Then aged in bourbon barrels, rich notes of cinnamon with warm notes of bourbon.
Wow. Okay.
How do you feel about it?
I feel really good about it based on the first sip. You've tried this before, right?
Yes.
Okay,
I drank
so
the other. Well, I
You drank the
two
other
of
three
the other
bottles?
three.
2 of the other 3? Okay. All right. So the first thing that I will say is that it's a. I was expecting more of a like traditional stout booziness. Instead, it's got this sort of tingly mid-level flavor to it that's fascinating. Probably not describing it right. You'll describe it better than I will.
No, like you're getting a lot of the spices, particularly like the ginger. Like ginger is an anesthetic. It has that like kind of numbing effect.
It's kind of in the middle of the palate.
What's not coming through is the barrel. Like when you hear barrel age, you're expecting like a much thicker viscosity. This is much lighter on the palate. And
It's
I
a
think
much
that's what
thinner
it is.
mouthfeel.
Yeah.
Right,
than
you do
expect.
get that sort of boozy barrel-aged vibe on the retrohale, but
Yeah.
not necessarily in the original taste, you know? It's really delicious.
Backing up what you say, I get all that. It is thinner mouthfeel than I was expecting the first time I tried it. And that actually kind of put me off a little bit the first sip I had of it. But then I started sipping more of it, and that the bourbon barrel and the oakiness start to build a little bit after a few sips.
Right, you get it on the retrohale,
And the
then it
retrohale is
starts
definitely
it
there.
starts to build a little bit. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
It's also slightly more carbonated than I would have expected,
Agreed, yes.
but it doesn't seem to interrupt the flavors much.
So I'm kind of on this campaign against heavily carbonated IPAs. I try a lot of different IPAs from around the country, more of them than I even bring on the show. And a lot of the ones that I don't bring on, one of the reasons I don't bring them on is that I found that the carbonation was too intense to allow me to enjoy the flavors. And I'm a guy that loves carbonated
I
drinks.
can see that, but like there's still like some style, like there are some brute IPAs that are like super carb that like I just dig.
but that's
it's
But like you
depending
also
on-
you also expect it
I
with
get
that
it.
style,
Right, I
too,
was just
so-
saying that's what
Very-
the
yeah.
style's about. Yes.
So the carbonation content is very beer dependent to me because I've had stouts that were carbonated way more than I thought they should
right,
be.
and
but
you're like, but this one it works. I
but
think.
I've had also some stouts where like this one where it's more carbonated than I would generally expect, but it actually kind of works. It tickles the tongue,
Yeah.
and kind of holds off some of those flavors till the back of the palate, which is really interesting to me.
I find this really impressive, and I will be buying some of this to have in the beer fridge. It's good. It's really, really good. We are. I don't know if you people noticed this. This was very subtle, but Ian just changed the direction on Cousin Twirligig.
Cousin Twirligig goes both ways.
That's a really fascinating thing to know. All right, we'll break out more of Cousin Twirligig's antics and adventures in future programs. But welcome to the show, Cousin Twirligig. It's wonderful to have our rotating platform back. Yes. Chris Morris, you're one of our absolute favorite guests on the show. Thank you so much for coming on this week and making cocktails. And do you think as we kind of ring ourselves out, you might make us one more of these Buccaneers?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, fine, yeah. So I'll just say it because I'm an unabashed fan. Go Bucks! I hope that they do really, really well in the super, mega, ultra big sporting event game thingy. And I'm looking forward, regardless who wins, I'm looking forward to great game snacks and amazing game cocktails. So thank you, Chris, for coming on and showing us how to do these. Next week is the last show we will do before Valentine's Day. So in the same sort of spirit as bringing Chris on this week to do Super Bowl drinks, we'll be bringing our resident wine expert Mark Burrell on to talk wine for Valentine's Day.
The nice thing about that is we can call it Valentine's Day because Valentine's Day won't sue us.
No one will sue us over calling it Valentine's Day, and that's always good to know. So, so as Chris shakes this up and kind of takes us out, let me say thank you to Mary for putting this together. Thanks to Adam on the Wheels of Steel for making it work, and thanks to you guys for being here. Liliana, we're going to set something up with the two of you. This will be happening soon, and then of course, I guess we could just put the call out, Chris, unless you've got somebody that you have in mind to be our vodka martini challenger against your gin martinis.
I don't associate with those people.
Okay, fine.
They're not actually people.
So let's just put this challenge out now. If you're somebody who is an expert at vodka martinis. We need to do a challenge with you versus Chris on the show. The vodka versus gin martini
and I know
challenge.
a guy, but we tried to get him on the show before, and he kind of like flaked on us.
Well, I guess those vodka martini people are flaky. What else can I tell you? Also, we're working on something that I'm actually really excited about, and that is going to be our hard seltzer blind taste test that we'll be doing in the show in the very near future. So I'm currently stockpiling seltzer
Is that
flavors.
going to be fun?
I don't know, but it'll be interesting.
You know, so you live in a building with a bunch of other people.
Mm-hmm.
The thing you can do to offload some of those is like you just save one or two, and then leave the rest in the elevator.
And see if people take. Listen, people love hard seltzers. Our friend Jessica, who works for Barrel Bourbon, she's a
That's true, that's
fanatic
true.
for hard seltzer, and we're going to invite her on the show to do the blind taste test with us. So
Loves
it's something
the hard seltzer.
we'll be looking forward to. And I'm also going to. I haven't asked her yet, but I'm hoping to ask Maria Todd to be on the show with us.
she is so
who's
fun.
so awesome. So
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 fun.
that should be a really really fun show. So as he
I also just want to point out, I didn't know they made a specific nutmeg grater device.
but you knew that if they
that
did make one.
stores and grates nutmeg.
You knew
That's
though,
my favorite part, is just keeping like a whole nutmeg clove just up there.
You knew though that
You
if
can
they
just literally hang it on your wall. It's
if they
perfect.
did make one, that Chris would be the guy to have it, didn't you?
It's amazing.
All right. Also want to mention Ian and I will be guests next Wednesday. Well, I don't think the show airs next Wednesday.
The show I think airs on
I think
Friday
it
or
airs on
Saturday,
Friday
right?
or Saturday,
Friday,
right.
Saturday, yeah.
But we'll be guests on the next episode of Chris Hart's Whiskey Neat show. So we're looking forward to hanging out with Chris and drinking some whiskeys and bourbons that no one can ever buy, and it'll be an awesome show.
It's not going to be whiskeys or bourbons that no one can buy. It's going to be random rums and Armagnac that you can't ever find.
That you can't ever find anywhere on the planet. So we love Chris and are looking forward to hanging out with him. So thank you guys for being a part of the show this week. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to shift to, as much as I love that beer, I'm going to shift to this cocktail, the Buccaneer. Go Bucks.
I finished my beer.
Let's do it, baby. Have a great week, my friends, and cheers, y'all.
Cheers, y'all.
Woo, clang, clang, clang.
That is badass.
So that's the adjusted version. That's
Oh,
yeah.
How did you adjust more rum?
More rum, more lime.
Oh,
Lime
it's
right down
this is even better.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's exactly what I told you.